Okay. Okay. Once you are done, we will start. Okay, so let's start. Did you guys try to do the assignment? I think what the assignments have given. Factorial of the number using the loops. You are able to do it? Why? 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. What it is coming? The value is reducing. What to increment or decrement? What you have to use? Loops, right? What you have to do? 5 into 3 into 2 into 1. Same thing. Did you try at least? You did not get. Did you check it in Google? You got the answer? You understood what is the logic? You understood or you did not understand the logic? You did not. Okay. Done. Sashikant, can you put your code in chart window so that I can explain to these guys? Yeah, you can paste it. I'll just see it and I'll explain. Okay, just go to Google. Even I can take it from Google. So factorial programming. It doesn't matter Java or C. Logic is same. Logic is same. See, for 4, 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. What is the output? Factorial of the 4 is 24. Then factorial of the 5 is 120. What logic they are writing? What they are giving? They are taking two variables. One is I, one is fact. This name, don't think this name should be fact. It can be, it's a just variable name. It can be any name. Now for what number I want to get the factorial? For 5. So they are giving number equal to 5. So what is the logic you have to understand? Logic you have to write manually first yourself. So what is the number they wanted to do for the factorial? 5, right? Now what you have to do? 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. That's what they are trying to do. First, you need to write what you wanted in the notepad. Then you need to think about the logical thinking. Don't directly jump in writing a program. First, yesterday I showed you addition of matrix. I showed you manually. I've written in a notepad. Then I copied A of 0 plus B of 0. Then put that into C of 0, right? So similarly, any program you wanted to write, first best exercise is put it in a notepad. Understand what logic you have to write. Now I can easily understand. I have to take 5 number, right? What is a 5 number? Logic is what? Number into number minus 1. Number minus 1 is what? 4. Again, number minus 1, 3. Minus 1, minus 1. I think that's what they are doing. Right? So here they're saying I equal to 1 because factorial number will always starts with what? 1, not with the 0. Right? So the last number will be always 1. So they are starting with what? I equal to 1. Are you guys able to see from backside? Okay. I equal to, why they are giving fact equal to 1? Because if the value, what is the factorial of the 1? 1 itself. If the value of factorial equal to 1, you basically this guy should check a condition. He is not checking the condition. This is using the recursion function. I said you yesterday, right? You can do it either using a loop or using a functions, recursion function. Someone will ask you to write using loops. Someone will ask you to write some recursion. Someone will just ask you to write the factorial. It's up to you. Whichever you are convenient, you just go ahead and write. Now what these guys are doing here, they're saying I equal to 1, I less than or equal to number. Y equal to number. Now look at your notepad. It should start from number itself, right? I plus plus. Now what is the fact? What is the value of the fact? 1. Fact equal to fact into I. What is the value of fact? 1. 1 into I. What is the value of I? 1. What is the value of I now? I plus plus. It will be 2. 2 less than number. What is the number? 5. Just remember value of the number. Number is less than, 2 less than 5. Condition is true. It comes inside the loop. Now what is the value of fact? Fact equal to fact into I. First time 1 only, right? Next time fact into I. What is the value of I? Into 2. Again value of, what is the value of fact now? 2. Is it 2 or more than 2? Just 2 only, right? And then what is the value of I? 3. Then 3 in 3 less than 5. Condition is true. Then fact equal to fact into. What is the fact value? 3. 3 into, what is the value of 5? 3 into, I don't know what logic. Fact equal to fact into. What was the value of fact? 1 only? 2. It was 2. Okay. No, hold on. Repeat it again. So it will not that easily understandable. You have to look at the number value. You have to look at the value of I. Every line you have to write. Now what is the value of, now let's write what is the fact value. First time. What is the value we are giving here? 1. So you need to make a note it in the notepad. Fact equal to 1. Now what I am saying, I equal to 1. Condition is true. 1 less than 5. What I am saying now, fact equal to fact into I. What is the value of I? 1. So what is the value of fact? 1. Next time. What is the value of I? I equal to 2, right? First time it is 1. I plus plus. I equal to 2. Then 2 less than 5. Condition is true. Then what it will come? Fact equal to fact into. What is the value of fact? Fact equal to, okay, instead of putting fact, we will give, what is the value of fact? Was that 1? Yeah. 1 into, what is the value of I now? 2. What is the value of fact? 2. Then what is the value of I? 3. 3 less than 5. Condition is true. Now go to fact. Fact equal to, what is the value of fact? 1 into 3. What you will get? 3. Next time, what is the value of I? 4. Condition is true. Fact equal to fact into. What is the value of fact? 3 into 1. Value of fact is what? 3 here. Right? 3 into, what is the value of I? 4. Equal to, what is the value of fact? 12. Then what is the value of I? 5. No, hold on. We'll go one by one again. What is the first time fact value? 1. What is the value of I? 1. It enters inside the loop. Fact equal to fact into 1. What is the value of fact? 1. So we'll write 1 only here. 1 into 1. What is the value of fact now? 1. Next time, what is the value of I? 2. 2 less than 5. Condition is true. Now fact equal to fact into I. 1 into 2. Is this correct till all you guys aligned? Next, what is the value of I? 3. Fact equal to, what is the value of fact? 2. It is already written. 2. So what is the value of fact? 2. 2 into 3. What is the value of fact? 6. Now what is the value of I? 4. Fact equal to 4 into, what is the value of I? 4, right? 4 into, oh, fact equal to, sorry, 6 into, sorry, this should be 6. 6 into 4. How much? 24. Now what is the value of fact? 24. What is the value of I? 5. Condition is true. Equal to 5. So condition is true. Then now again you have to say fact equal to fact into, what is the fact value? 24 into, what is the value of I? 5 equal to, is that correct value? Did you guys try to analyze this way? You have to do line by line. Every value you have to take. You take the value of I, take the value of fact, and every time I value is changing, fact value is keep on changing. This is one way they are doing, okay? Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Same thing, what we also written here. Okay, so we'll move on. So what we discussed in the previous session, arrays. We just started with arrays. How many types of arrays we have? 2 types, single dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. Single dimensional array, you will have only one element you can store. One element in the sense, only rows kind of thing. You will not have rows and columns. If you go for multi-dimensional array, you will have rows and columns. You will have both. Yesterday we discussed, right? We just completed the single dimensional array, right? Okay. 11 a.m. Okay. I think I forgot to put the examples yesterday. Just remind me before before closing the class itself, I'll upload. Once I go, I'm done. I'll forget, right? So now, did we create a program? No. Class multi-array. So how is multi-dimensional array looks? Rows and columns. I think we already have the arrays here, right? Where is arrays? Okay. Single dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. Same thing I will take, okay? I'll declare the same variable. What happened? My keyboard is locked. Okay. Okay. Now here, first one indicates the rows. What is the first one? Indicates rows. Second one indicates columns. So let's not give these many rows and columns. I will just give you 2 rows and 3 columns, or just put 4 columns otherwise, or just put 3 just to make it simple. Understand the concept with the simple one. Don't put 20 rows, 90 columns. You will end up with same typing. If you want to assign the values, same thing you have to do, right? Now, how do you assign a value? How much memory it will allocate? How many rows? Forget about rows now, memory. So rows, number of first one always indicates the rows. Second one will always indicates the columns. Now, how do you assign a value? Single dimensional array, we understand yesterday. It doesn't matter single dimensional array or multi-dimensional array. It doesn't matter. It is always starts with 0. If you have rows, rows also will start with 0. Column also going to start with 0. Now x of, how do I assign a value? X of 0 of arrays always starts with what? 0. X of 0 of 0 equal to 1. Correct? X of 0 of 0. Next one, x of 1 of 1 equal to, this is correct? Go to Excel. So how many rows you have assigned? No, Excel I'm trying to explain. In your array declaration, what is the row size? 2 rows. How many columns? 3 columns. So first one, this row and this row. Row 1 and row 2. How many columns? A, B and C. Now what value I have given? 1. It is 1. Now this is wrong. I am deliberately writing it. Why it is wrong? How many rows you have? 2 rows. Row starts from where? 0. How many columns? How many values you have given here? 0 of 0 means first row, first column. How many columns you have? How many columns you have? 3 columns. So what row would be same? Row would be the same, right? Row 1, column 1, row 1, column 2, row 1, column 3. So now x of 0, I'm still in the first row only. I'm still in the first row only, but I'm giving you the another column, second column, because it starts with 0, 1 would be the second column. What should be the next one? X of, why 0? Because 3 columns you have to assign the values. Now x of 0 of 2 equal to 3. How many rows completed now? Only 1 row. 1 row, how many columns? 3 columns. Still how many rows you have? Sorry, how many rows you have? Row 1 is done. How many rows you have? Still 1 more row. Now what is the next one? What is the next one? X of, now let's make it simple, understandable. 1, 2, comma 3. So you're done with what? X of 0 means 1. How many columns? A, B, C, 3 columns. Same thing I'm doing here. 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2. Rather than, 1, 2, 3 values. Now I have to go for here. Second row. Second row means x of 1 equal of, again, first column. Second row again. Every row has how many columns? Very confusing. Every row has 3 columns. We have done with 1 row only. We have to go with 1 more row, right? X of 1 of 0. Again, second row, first column. This one. Second one, second row, first column. Again, another column. Again, another column. Right? Now, x of 1 of 0 equal to 4. You can give any values. Don't worry, 1 or 2, anything you wanted, you can give. I'm just giving 1, 2, 3, 4 just for easy to understand. Okay. Then next one, x, sorry, where it's going, man. Next one, x of 2 of 1. I'm just seeing whether you're sleeping or getting x of 1 of 1. What is the value? Any value. Okay. Don't think I should always give 1, 2, 3 only. Don't think. I'm multiple times repeating. Don't think 1, 2, 3 only. You can give any number. I'm just giving it to understand one row, one column, 1, 2, 3. That makes easier to understand. Next one, x of 1 of 2 equal to some value. Done. This is a how assignment of multi-dimensional array. First one indicate rows. Second one indicates columns. How many rows you have, how many columns you have. For every column, you have to give that many values, how many columns you have. In this example, 3 columns. So I'm giving 0, 1, 2. Okay. Is it clear? Any doubts? Now I wanted to print these values. What should I do? I will give you 1 minute time for you guys. Just think about it and let me know. I want to print all these values, or I wanted to access all these values. Think. IJ. Print ln x, what it will print? It will not print anything. Yesterday, how did we print? We used what? We used loop. How many loops we used yesterday? For loop. How many loops? One loop, right? We used only one loop. For what dimensional array? Single dimensional array. What this one? Multi-dimensional array. So what you have to give here? Always remember one dimensional, one loop. Two dimensional, two loops. Three dimensional, four dimensional. As simple as your dimension is increasing, your loops also will increase. As long as your dimensions are increasing, your number of loops also will increase. Mostly from automation, we generally do not even use, but some places where we use this multi-dimensional array, most of the time we don't generally use. Okay, but from interview point of view, they might ask you to write a program. I said you right yesterday, adding two matrix A and matrix B. Did you try to do that? I can understand factorial itself did not come in that, but it's not that difficult, right? You see, first thing you need to understand the concept, how the values are storing. You guys understand how the values are storing? You understood? X of 0, X of 1, X of 2. First value is available in where? X A of 0, matrix A. I already showed you, right, with the code yesterday. Did you try to do without loop? I said first to do without loop, which I have given. Did you try that? So you will get that interview question for sure in written test. May not be one company, but for sure in another company you will get that. I'm just trying to do practice. It's not manual testing, right? You also have to put your little bit efforts, daily 1 hour or 2 hours per day minimum. Okay. Now, can you guys tell me how to print these values? How many you will write multiple system.out.println? You have to use the loops. Now try to understand, is it changing? This is 0, right? And this is 0. This is 0. And this is 0. This is 1. This is 2. So first one will be, first one is rows. Rows are repeatedly same, 0, 0 and 0. Columns are keep on increasing, 0, 1, 2, then second row. Row is same, again 1, 1, 1. Values are changing what? 0, 1, 2, 3. Now which loop I have to use? It's up to you. Always for loop will be better for the arrays. Int I. From where I have to start? From where I have to start? Why? Array starts with 0. And I less than what? 3. I less than? The first one always should go for rows. I loop always for rows. What is your row size? Yesterday, what was your row size? Single dimensional array. 5. I less than 5. Now what are you using here? What is row size? 2. Less than? Always remember I and J. Entire world uses the same convention. I loop will be always for rows. J loop will be always for columns. How much I have to increase? I plus plus. Okay. Now I have to open the bracket, and which loop I have to? One loop for rows. Now I have to write second loop for what? Column. J equal to 0. Row or column, always it starts with 0. Okay. Then J less than, this is for columns, less than 3. Why I'm saying column? Because 0, 1, 2. So I less than row size, sorry, column size. What is your column size? 3. Less than 3. Less than 3 means 2. 0, 1, 2. J less than 3. J? No. Sorry, I equal to 0, correct. Yeah. Now, what is the one I have to do? Sure. Now what I have to say? What is my variable name? Array variable name? X. X of I of J. Got it? Understood? Now break it down. Break it down with the values of I. Same thing. This is what I follow when I was learning. Note down, understand value of I, understand value of J. In this example, understand the value of fact and everything. Now we will go with in detail. What is the value of I? Value of I equal to 0. I loop. Okay. Now I less than 0 less than 2. Condition is true. Condition is true. Then it enters inside the loop. Inside the loop, what you are putting? One more loop. Now you have to concentrate on two values. Value of I is what? 0. Now value of J is equal to what? 0. 0 less than 3. Condition is true. Condition is true. So what it will print here? What is what I'm saying? X of I of J. X of I of J. What I will get? X of, what is the value of I? 0. What is the value of J? Sorry. 0. What it will print here? It will, what is the value stored? X of 0 of 0. Now, which loop it will go? It will go to I loop or J loop? I loop, right? Now, what will be the value of I? Value of I is 1. What is the value of J? I repeatedly told yesterday, once it enters inside the loop, it will come outside the loop only when condition is false. In which loop you are now? I loop you entered first time. You are done with I loop. Then you entered into where? J loop. What is the value of J? 0. First time. 0 less than 3. Condition is true. Then what it will print? I'm clearly showing in the notepad. X of 0 of 0. What it is printing? 1. Now, which loop you are in? You are in I loop or you are in J loop? You are in, that's where the confusion. Concept you have to understand. What is the concept? Once it enters inside the loop, it will not go outside the loop until condition is false. It doesn't matter inner loop or outer loop. Do you guys remember this? Yesterday I told you multiple times. Now it entered into which loop? J loop. What is the value of J first time? 0. 0 less than 3. Condition is true. Right? 0 less than 3. Condition is true. What is the value of I? 0. What is the value of J? 0. X of 0 of 0. Don't think it will go to I loop. I repeatedly saying until unless J loop become false. Until once it enters, like enters, that's all. If you don't make condition false, it will not go out. So what is the value of J now? 0 plus 1. Now go it in detail. What is the value of I? 0 only. It did not go to the I loop. It did not go to the I loop. What is the value of I? 0. What is the value of J? 0 plus 1. Always remember, once it enters into the inner loop, it will not go to the outer loop until inner loop is condition is false. Now what it will print? X of, what is the value of I? 0 of J equal to, it will print 2. What is stored in X of 0 of 1? 2. Now which loop it will go? I loop, right? Or J loop? Does condition is false? Condition is still true. What is the value of J now? I equal to, what is the value of I? 0. What is the value of J? What was the value of J earlier? 1. 1 plus 1. Value of J would be 2. X of, what is the value of I? 0. Of J. What is the value of J? 2. Equal to, what it will print? Whatever value is stored here. Right? Then next time where it will go? I loop or J loop? What is the value of I? Does it go outside the J loop? Not yet. Right? So value of I is what? 0. Now what is the value of J? It was already 2. 2 plus 1. Value of J is what now? 3. Is 3 is greater than, less than 3? Condition is false. Always remember, it will not go outside the loop until unless condition is false. Now condition is false. Where it will go now? I loop. Because even I loop condition also to be false to come out of it. Now what is the value of I? Earlier what was the first time? 0. 0 plus 1. What is the value of I now? 1. Now what will be the value of J? J again going to start from 0. It went out, again it is entering, means again it starts with fresh 0. Okay. Now what is the value of I? 1. Of, what is the value of J? So you are done with the first row, first columns. Now it is going to the second row and columns again. Now what is the value of I? Who's saying 2? 1 only. It entered inside the I loop, then it entered into where? J loop. Once it enter into the J loop, why you think it will go to I again? J loop has to be false. If it is not false, it will not go to I loop. Always remember, once it entered is entered. If it is not false, it will continue until it becomes false. Once it becomes false, then only it will come outside the loop. Same rule applicable for I also. Okay. Now what is the value of I? 1 or 2? 1 only. Value of I is 1 because you are still in the J loop, inner loop. Now what is the value of J? 0 plus 1. J plus plus, right? What is the value of J now? 1. So what it will print? X of value of I, value of J, 1. What do you have? X of 1 of 1? 5. Now what is the value of I? Are you sure? Value of I is 1 only. 1. Next, what is the value of J? 2. Why 2? Because earlier it was you are in the J loop only. Is J loop is false? J loop is not false set. What is the value of J? 2. X of 1 of what is that? 2 equal to 6. Okay. Now what is the value of I? 1. Now what is the value of J? J equal to 2 plus 1. 3. Condition is true. Is 3 is less than 3? So J loop, it is come. What is the value of J now? 3. Is 3 is less than 3? False. Where it will go now? I loop. Now what was the value of I? Earlier it was 1. Now what is the value of I? 2. 2 less than 2. Are we done printing with all the values? 2 less than 2 is false. It is coming outside the I loop. Once it comes from the I loop, it will not go to the J loop because I itself is false. Is it clear? If you make note like this, then only you will remember. Whenever this is same logic, whenever you use single dimensional array, 1 loop. If you are using 2-dimensional array, 2 loops, I loop and J loop. Always remember you will have 2 sizes in 2 dimension. One size for rows, one size for columns. First one I loop will be for rows. J loop will be for columns. First you need to start with the row, then enter into J, then J will repeatedly continue. J will repeatedly continue until you have a false condition. So when it will become false, after entering all the rows, what is our column size here? 3. So finally value of J will become 3. 3 less than 3 is false. Then it comes outside the J loop. Then it will go to I loop. Is it clear? This thing, this thing I was explaining in around, not sure, 1999 or maybe 1999 or 2000. 21 years back. Before I'm entering into IT, this is what my job, trainer. So after 20 years again, for BTech freshers, I was explaining, first year student, they used to have C language, right? Now you are coming as a BTech first year student. Okay, you got the logic now? Is it clear? X nothing, it will not print anything. X what it will print. If you want, you try to print and see how it will print. So this is called multi-dimensional array. Okay. Now what assignments I gave yesterday? Assignment, yeah. 1 minute. So see, if you are declaring it as a int, it will consider as a int. If you want to declare it as a float, declare it float. Any data type. Don't think arrays I should only use integers. I can use any value. Float also I can use. Double also I can use. But always remember, what is the definition of array? Set of similar elements. Similar element means once you declare it as an integer, you have to store all these values of integer only. Okay, you cannot mix up. It is not possible. Let's see. I think so. You're so interested to print the value of x. I'll see what it will print. What it will print? Is x is a normal variable? Is it allowing? Is it allowing to print x? It will not allow. You got it? X is not a normal variable. Okay, whatever experiments you wanted to do it, you do it. Okay, if I have to do everyone's experiment, one class will complete it with only experiment. Understand the concept. X is what? Array variable. X is not a normal variable. Array means you have to specify the index values for it. Is it clear or any more questions? I always suggest follow these notes. Follow these notes in the sense, understand the value of I, understand when it will go to I loop, when it will go to J loop. Once you understood any program you give, same concept. I, J. I will rows, less than row size. Yeah, declare one integer, one float you declare integer, one you declare it as a float. If you declare a float, give some values of the float. Same. See, again, the concept is remain same. Array means you will always have this symbol. Okay. Now I'll declare it as a double y equal to new double. Specify the size. I want to store 4 values. Just say again a y of 0. Put some decimal value. Who is stopping you? Same thing. Yeah, you can use character. You can declare string of array. Okay. Now this is one way of using multi-dimensional array with the 2 loops. What is the use of array? Can you guys understand what is the use of array? Can I store 1000? I have a, who is this asking this question? Okay, Padmavati, let's say you are studying in college. Okay. I want to write a program to store 1000 student details. Do you want to declare 1000 variables? How many values you can store in one variable? Only one value. You cannot store more than one value. Do you declare 1000 variables one rule number? That is the reason we are going for using the arrays. Okay. I don't know that. Okay. Is it clear? Now we'll move on for another important thing in the Java functions. Try to concentrate more on functions. When you go for automation, without function, you cannot do anything. Straight away, I'm telling. If you do not understand function, there is no automation for you. Straight away. There is no doubt in it. I want you to be very serious understanding the functions. Anything you write inside the function only in automation, not outside. Okay. Make a note functions. Functions and methods both are same. Okay. Don't think they are different. Functions and methods both are same. Functions and methods both are same. Make a definition. Function is set of statements. Function is set of statements or group of statements which can be used to repeat any number of times. Don't confuse when I'm saying repeat more number of times. Don't compare it with the functions. Sorry, loops. That I will explain you. Okay. Continuation. Functions are mainly used for specific purpose or for specific task. Functions are used for specific task or specific purpose. Okay. Next line. Functions are mainly used for code reusability. Functions are mainly used for code reusability. Okay. Now, what do you mean by code reusability here? First, we will understand what do you mean by code reusability. Now, let's assume you all are testers. Okay. You all are testers. Guys, listen it very carefully. I don't want you to ask a question, what is a function, when we start the Java. You have so many things to learn the Java. You don't come back, I did not understand function. We'll take 1 day time or 2 days time, but have thorough understanding. If you do not understand function, it is difficult in automation. As simple as once you go to project, you have to write using functions only. If you do not understand properly, ask me the questions. I'm fine to explain it for multiple times. That's okay. I'll repeat multiple times today or tomorrow, fine, but make sure you understand the functions. Now, what is the major purpose of functions? Functions are having use for specific purpose, or for specific task. And what is the major advantage of functions? Code reusability. What do you mean by code reusability? Let's say you all are testers here. Let's say you all are testers and you all are working for XYZ online banking. XYZ online, don't need to run down anything. Just listen when I'm explaining. Don't note down, only concentrate what I'm explaining. Don't mix up, it is already there. Everything is already written, it is already there in the Google class. When I'm explaining, try to listen. If you try to mix up listening and writing, it is very difficult. You will not be able to concentrate, right? You will be hearing something here, you will be concentrating and writing something. It will not work. Okay. So code reusability, what do you mean by code reusability? I'm trying to explain to understand the importance of the functions. Okay. Let's say you all are working for online banking application, any client, it doesn't matter, XYZ client. So online banking will have what? Login. First thing is login. Let's say I've given some user stories for all of you guys to automate. Approximately how many people we have here? Nearly 40 plus. Let's say you all are 40 testers working in my project. I have given one user story. Let's say I have taken one user story. Which is user story? User should be able to log in with valid user ID and password. Now I automated that. I have written some coding to log in. Okay. Now you got some different user stories. One user story for adding beneficiary. One user story for transfer funds. One user story for deleting the beneficiary, one user story to automate, modify the beneficiary, one user story to raise a checkbook request, one user story to change your PIN. So these are the user stories. So you all 40 got all these user stories. All you 40 guys have to do manual testing first. You have to add beneficiary and see whether it is working or not. Then modify the beneficiary is working fine or not. For doing all your transactions, what is required? We have precondition, right? You guys remember precondition in manual testing? So you should log in first. Can you add beneficiary without logging in? Can you transfer funds without logging in? Can you raise checkbook without logging in? So what all of you guys have to do? Log in first. So I'm the tester, one of the tester in the group, and I got user story, validate user able to log in or not. Now I already automated that code. I already written the code which is for logging into the application. I've written some Java or Selenium, it doesn't matter for you. Right now you understand, one tester automated the coding for login. Now you all remaining testers, right? You all remaining testers also needs to log in. Is that correct? You have to automate add beneficiary. Someone had to automate transfer funds. Someone has to automate raising a checkbook request. For doing all these things, what you need? Login. Login is mandatory. So I have written a login code. Do you think you all need to write again login code? 39 testers, total 40 testers. I'm one of the tester. I have written total automation for logging into application. Do you think all remaining tester needs to write again login? I'll write the code. Then how you all can reuse my code? How you will reuse my code? It's only, I will write one function called login. Every function will have the name. Every function will have the name. I'll try to write one function with the name called login. And all of you guys, I'll tell to all of you guys, or I'll email one email saying that I already automated login. Please use my code. So what all of you guys can do, Now, if she wanted to go for adding the beneficiary, she can use my code. You all can use my code. Which code? Logging in. Do you think you need to write again and again same coding? That is called code reusability. Code reusability means one of the tester already written a code and you don't need to write that code again and again. Example, login. Adding beneficiary, different code, anyhow, they have to use it. Right? Transfer funds, again, different user story, they have to write a coding. I cannot write coding for all user stories, right? So which is minimum thing required? Login. How can I reuse it? If I write it inside the function only, I can reuse it. If I can write a function inside the, sorry, if I write login code inside the function, I'll write that code inside the function. I will tell you guys, use this function to log in. So that is called code reusability. Any common features you have, everyone can reuse that code. If I have written, if you can reuse it, reuse it. If you have written something, now let's say she automated add beneficiary code automatically, right? What she will be using? She will be using my code first to log in. And she has written some coding for adding beneficiary. Now she is going to automate a test case to transfer funds. Are you guys understanding code reusability? I have written login. She used it. For what purpose? Adding the beneficiary. Now what she has to do? Transfer funds. To transfer funds, what she has to do first? Add the beneficiary. She can use your code. She can use. So this is avoiding duplication of the code. This is avoiding duplication of the code. If you take, there are no functions. Let's take an example. There are no functions concept in the market in language. What you will have to do? Let's say I have written 1000 lines for login. How many testers you have here? 40 testers. Example I'm saying. So one tester already written 1000 lines. If there is no functions concept, all of you guys have to write 1000 lines again. How many lines total it will be? 1000 into 40. How many lines? Is there any use? That much is the importance for the functions. I'm giving you the importance of the function. Anything you write in the function only. If you don't write anything in the function, you cannot reuse it. Functions concept introduced for code reusability. Always remember, if you wanted, I will show you. HRM login, you guys know, right? HRM login we did, right? Okay. Do you guys remember HRM? Yep. So test. HRM login. So this is how function looks. Don't worry, you will not be able to understand anything. Okay. I said any code you write, you have to write it inside the function only. I'm creating my function. What is my function name? HRM login. You can give any name. It's up to you. Why I am giving HRM login? Because I should able to understand by looking at the function name. I don't need to go through the entire code to understand what it is doing. Just give the function name proper name. Just give function name properly. HRM login. Now I can tell you guys, all of you guys, go ahead and use my code because I'm writing it inside the function. If you run, what it will do, it will go and execute HRM login test case. Just try to run it. Let's see. I don't know whether it's working or not. We'll see. I think I already showed you this one on the day one of automation, how automation looks, right? So when you run it, it will go to the Chrome browser. It will open HRM application. See, it is entering the user ID and password, then click on login. Is it logged in? All other testers, someone wants to automate PIM, someone needs to automate leave, someone want to automate time, etc., 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 etc. All these are required what? Login only. Without login, you cannot perform any action here. So you want any code to be reusable, everything you have to put it inside the function. Some people will call it as a function, some people will call it as a methods. Both are the same. Do you guys had any Oracle classes? No. Okay. These functions are covered. I think basics of functions are covered for you. Okay. What was covered? Functions already explained, is it? My blank face. You attended the classes, right? They covered? Okay. Okay. Now let's moving back. What is a function? Function is used for specific task or purpose. In this example, what is my purpose? Login. What is her purpose? Adding beneficiary. What is her purpose? Transferring funds. Every function is written for specific purpose only. Don't think just they like function like whatever they want. Functions are mainly used for specific purpose. Now functions will have two steps. One is function definition. Function will have two steps. Step number one, definition. Definition means whatever the code you wanted to write. Example, this is definition. Always remember, if you see this bracket, it will indicate what? Array. If you see this bracket, this is called as parenthesis. This is called as a parenthesis. If you are using this one, it will indicate functions. Anyone know C language here? Any idea? C language has functions. Every programming language will have functions. Okay. This is called as a parenthesis. If you are seeing opening and closing, understand it is a function. If you are seeing opening and closing, it is called as a function. Okay. Function definition means whatever the code you wanted to write, whatever the code you wanted to write for the implementation, you put that code in the function. That is called as a function definition. Every function will have two steps. One is definition. Definition means lines of code to implement the purpose. What is my purpose? Login. Okay. And what is the function definition? I have to write some coding. I have to write some coding to implement the login functionality. Always remember, definition is nothing but set of statements. Set of statements are nothing but your code. Whatever code you write, that is called function definition. Now the second one, you have what? Function calling. Every programming language, same concept. Function definition, function calling. There are two types of functions. One is predefined functions. Another one is user defined function. This is covered for you, right? Predefined functions and user defined function. User defined functions means HRM login I just showed you. I just created. It's my function. User who created it. Predefined functions means which are already created. Predefined functions means which are already created. You guys have to reuse it. Predefined functions means which are already defined. You have to reuse it. So whenever you write a definition, you have to call to execute your lines of code. Function definition, you understood, right? Definition means lines of code. Whatever lines of code you wanted to write it there. The next one is function calling. Until unless you don't call the function, it will not go to the definition of the function. Until unless I don't call, it will not go to definition. If you have written a lot of code, but if you don't call, it will not execute that. I will show you with an example so that you guys can understand. What is the syntax for functions? Syntax for functions is return type. Syntax for functions is return type. Function can return a value. Make a note, continuation of your notes. Functions can return a value. Functions can return a value. A function can return at a time. A function can return at a time only one value. The first thing is function can return a value. Then the next question comes, then how many values it can return? Function can return at a time only one value. Okay. Next line. Functions can take parameters. Functions can take parameters or arguments. Some people call it as parameters, some people call it as a argument, but almost both are the same meaning. There is no much difference. Functions will take the parameters or arguments. Okay. Now make a note of the syntax. Syntax for function definition. Syntax is return type, function name, parameter list. Syntax is function will return, right? You need to specify what type of value it is returning. Then parameter list we will discuss. Then open this curly bracket, put your code, whatever code you wanted to write. This is for definition of the function. Okay, the syntax is for definition of the function. Then put your code, then close your bracket. Opening bracket must be there. Under that, you need to write the coding. And then once your coding is completed, you need to close the line. Eclipse will, once you open it, Eclipse will automatically close on its own. You don't need to close it. Okay. Example. This is for example. Return type should be small letter. Okay. All should be capital letter. Void function name. Return type, we'll discuss what is void. Void means nothing. If function, see, function will return a value, doesn't mean that you should return a value. See, there is an option. It will return a value. If you wanted to return it, return it. If you don't want to return it, put void. Don't think returning value must. I should return value must is not a question. You need to understand the concept. If you want to return, return it. If you don't want to return it, put void. Void means, what is the meaning of void in English? Nothing. Void means nothing. It means it is not returning any value. What is a function name? What is a function name? Add. Why I am giving function name as add? Because I wanted to add some numbers. Okay. Now types of functions are already given, predefined and user defined. Now this is the last topic what we have in basics of programming language. So now let's try to write one example for functions. Same thing. You need to give the class name and everything. Okay, this is main is one function. Main is one function. Now I wanted to write my own function. What I wanted to do in my function, I wanted to add two numbers. Okay. Now I'm writing here. Don't worry why I'm writing void. I will explain it. Void. What is my function name? Add. Why I'm giving add? You can give even Ashok also. It doesn't matter. But only why I'm giving add. What is the purpose of this function? You have to give the name of the function. Same thing. Now I'm opening the bracket. Always put return type, function name, open and close. This is called parenthesis. Open and close. Then open the flower bracket, hit the enter. It will automatically close automatically. Then you have to write the coding here. Int, if you remember the first code, what we have written. If you remember the first example, what we have written. What is that? I think add function we have written, right? Okay, just leave it. So now what I wanted to do, I wanted to add value of A equal to 10. Int value of B equal to 20. This is called definition of the function. What it is called as? Definition of the function. Anything you wanted to implement it in the definition. Int A equal to 10, int B equal to 20. Then I'm saying int sum equal to A plus B. Then I wanted to print the result. Plus sum. Is it clear? Always remember the syntax. What is my syntax is saying? Return type. So what is my return type? Void. Why I am putting void? Because I am not returning any value. First we will understand with basic. Then we will go for parameterization. Then we will go for returning a value. Okay. Now return type, I am putting void because I am not returning any value. Then what is the next one? Function name. I am putting my function name as add. According to syntax, I have to open this and I have to close it. Here I'm saying parameter list, but at this moment we are trying to understand with simple example. We don't need to go for parameters, return type on the day one. We will go with the step by step. Now, how many steps you will have? Functions, function calling and function definition and function calling. Does this code will execute now? Do you think this code will execute? It will execute or it will not execute? Why? Because yeah, main is there. No, see, always remember. No, hold on. This is one function definition. Try to listen. This is one function definition. How many functions I have in this program? Two function. One is main. One is add. Add is what? User defined function. Main is already predefined function from where your program execution starts. Okay. Now, I cannot write one function definition in another function definition. If you want to understand, I cannot put, what is this main definition? I cannot put one function definition in another function. I see a lot of students used to do this mistake. When they come, I'm getting a lot of errors. Understand this concept. When you have two functions in your program, how many functions I have? Two. One is main, another one is add. So you'll have two definition. One definition should not be in another definition. It means I cannot have add definition inside the main definition. Whenever you have two functions, two separate definitions, don't merge both into one function. It will not work. Are you guys getting? Two functions, two definitions separately. Don't merge one function definition in another function. That's why I have to write one function definition outside the main. Now, if I wanted to write one more function, that should be separate. I cannot merge add, main, and subtraction function, everything in one function. I cannot do that. Okay. Now, I'll just put one statement here just to show you system.out.println, just to show you that it is executing the program inside the main. Is it clear? Now, do you think these lines of code will execute? Why? No, don't. I think they explain static and non-static and all. So if it is a non-static function, it will not execute. No, forget about it. That we will do. Now my question is, do you think this line of add code will execute? How many things you have in functions? Calling and definition. Definition and calling. What is a definition? Lines of code which you wanted to implement. What lines of code I'm implementing? Adding two numbers, declaring two variables, adding them and printing them. Is it clear? Now the next question. Do you think if you don't call the function, it will execute definition of the function? I just explained. In order to execute the function definition, you should call the function. If you don't call, it will not execute it. I wanted to call him. If I ask him to come here, then only he will come. Otherwise, he will not come, right? Same thing concept we are implementing. If you don't call the function, it will not execute. If you don't call, it will not go to definition. It will not go to definition. Now try to run it. Do you think it will execute? So just try to run it. It will go to the main and it will execute the main, but it will not print any result for the sum. Is it printing any sum of two numbers value? Why? Because it is not going there. When it will go? When you call the function. So how do you call a function? Why static? Why so many people static, non-static? It has nothing to do. Static is separate concept we will discuss once we start the Java. Okay. Now syntax. I think whether I have written syntax for calling. No, I have not written. Okay, make a note. Syntax for calling a function. Syntax for calling a function. You need to make a note. If you don't call a function, just make a note. If you don't call a function, it will not go to the definition of the function. If you don't call the function, it will not go to definition of the function. It will not go to definition of the function, and it will not execute. It will not execute. And it will not execute. It will not execute any lines of the code, and it will not execute any lines of the code which are written in the function definition. It will not execute any line of the code. It will not execute any line of the code in definition of the function. In definition of the function. In definition of the function. Okay, so what is the definition of the function? This is the definition of the function. These are number of lines of code. If you don't call, it will not execute these lines of code. Now make a note. Syntax for calling a function. Syntax for calling a function. You lost? Okay, we will close with this example. I don't want to, I want you to do some assignments on functions before coming tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday, we'll have a class. Okay, don't take light functions. I'm telling multiple times, no functions, no automation. No automation, no entry to IT. Doors are closed. Only manual testing you can do. Don't disappoint, I'm just kidding. Okay. Now, how to call a function? Make a syntax. Function should be called. Functions should be called. Function should be called using object name. Functions should be called using object name dot function name. Using function name, using object name dot function name. Okay. That is for calling the function. Make a next note. Now I'm saying you have to call it using object. Now, do you know how to create object? Now make a note. Syntax for creating object. Syntax for creating the object. This is already there in the notes. Let me see. Syntax for creating a object. So this would be the syntax. Class name. You have to give class name space object name equal to new class name. Syntax is class name class name space object name equal to new class name. Okay, this is how you have to create a syntax. Now how to call a function? Object name dot function name. Now example, how to create an object? You have to create, see, we already executed it, not execute, because we are not calling. I'm showing you how to call it. So how to call it? Object name dot function name. How to create an object? Class name dot object name. What is my class name? Functions. Okay. Give obj, any name. Don't think I should give obj only. Don't think it should be only obj. Any name you can give. Why I am giving obj? Because it's an object. Okay. What is the syntax? Equal to new class name. Okay. How to call a function? What is my object name here? Obj. Obj dot add. It auto populates. Now this is called function calling. This is called function definition. Now, do you think it will execute now? It will execute. Why it will execute? You are calling. Previously, why it did not execute? You did not call it. Just try to run it. This is showing sum of two numbers are Is it entering inside the function? It is doing calculation. It is printing this value. Once function is executed, where it will go? It will go back to the same place where you are calling. This is most important thing. I don't know if you don't take it seriously. When we start the Java, I want you to be thorough with this. Major concept of going is to understand the ABCDs. When you go to Java, we have so many things. We will not come back to what is array, what is a data type again. If you come back like that, it is never ending story. Okay. Anyhow, we got Sunday one time before coming on Monday, right? Tomorrow, Saturday, we will have a class. We'll try to complete functions and we'll maybe start introduction to Java. Okay. Before coming on Monday, take your time to refresh yourself all basics concept what we learned, like data types, integers, operators, if, else, if, etc., etc. Okay. Now this is called function calling, and this is called function definition. I was just trying to explain something. Okay. So where it will go after executing the definition? Now you are calling. When it call from line number 9, it will jump to line number 12. From line number 9, it will directly jump to line number 12. Why it will jump? Because you are calling. Where it will go? It will execute all these lines of code. This is called as a what? Definition of the function. So definition of the function will contain lines of code. So once it execute all lines of code, again it will go back to the same line. In which line? There is a reason why I am explaining it. When we talk about return type, you need to understand this concept. So whenever, where you are calling, in which line number? 9. From where definition is starting? 12. So it comes to 12 and it execute all these lines of code. It's going to execute all these lines of code. Again, it will go back to the same line, line number 9. Any programming language, same concept. When you call, it go to definition. Once definition is executed, then where it will go? It will go back to the calling. Same line where you called. If you wanted after calling, I'll put one statement, right? Where it will come to line number 9. Again, it will continue remaining lines of the code. Don't think it will not continue remaining lines of code. What is the function job? You call it, it will go to the definition. Again, it will go back to the same line. Repeat that. Remember that same line in which you are calling the function. In which line I'm calling? Line number 9. It will go to line number 9 and it is going to execute. Just try to print it. It will print the after add function execution. See, it is going back to the main again. When I say it's going back to the main, don't think it will go to line number 7. It will not repeat them again. It will repeat only once. Then it will come here. It will come here and then it will go for the next line to execute. Is it clear? Now take an assignment. Write a function. Write a function to subtract the two numbers. Write a function to subtract the two numbers. Assignment 1. Assignment 2. Write a function to do the multiplication of two numbers. Write a function to do the multiplication of two numbers. Got the assignment? I have given example 1 program for functions with one function called add. Now I'm asking you guys to write a function and one for subtraction of two numbers, one for multiplication of two numbers. It can be integer, it can be double, it's up to you. Anything you wanted to use it. But remember, if you're using float, you have to put F. Okay. Assignment is clear? Okay. Now I wanted to add numbers again. So what is the major purpose of functions? Code reusability. Now, if I wanted to add the numbers again, what I can do? Call it again. There is no limitation how many times I have to call. How many times you are calling now? 2 times. It will execute 2 times. How many number of times you call? That many number of times it is going to execute. I said I have written a coding for login, and remaining all 39 people, how many times they need to call? 39 times. Each one will call 1 time. It doesn't matter how many times you wanted to call, you can call that many times. Yeah. Okay. Let me put all these examples in Google Class. Open this notes, functions, try to make sure you do those 2 assignments. And if you are getting any issues, let me know. Okay. Yeah, Daniel, I think you can put it in the chat window. I'll try to answer that. We'll have a session tomorrow, okay? You already have while loop, for loop, marks, and while. Okay. I think then functions are repeating second time now, right? Last time function they have covered, right? They have covered, or only arrest till they covered. Okay. Let me put all. Okay, then all examples are pasted. I think how many it will take to complete the course. Maybe another, when it started? June 6. It's already 1.5 month now. So one more 1.5 month. Mostly 3 months, but if possible, we'll see before or after also. Yesterday's class? I put everything now. I added all. Yesterday's also I have added. Can you write functions name like as your wish name? Yeah, you write Daniel is your function, write your name. But what people will understand? People will not understand, right? What this function is taking. How many it will take complete course? Can you write function name? Array is used to store 1,000 names and 1,000 rule numbers. I have to print 1,000 names, and yeah, it is not only 1,000. You can. Is it like interval, guys? Here? No, is it interval? Why so such a nice? Okay. It's not only for 1,000 names and rule numbers. You can put 10,000 names also. It depends upon whatever the size of the array you are declaring. Okay. Okay. So we are done. You guys can leave, and we'll catch up tomorrow again. Bye for now. Hmm. Okay.